Hello and welcome to Future Proof, the programme that looks at future-proofing business to empower business owners, employees and indeed students, and talking about the power of emotional intelligence, but more than anything drawing on the expertise of my guests. So today I'm joined by Paul Spiers and I hope that you enjoy the programme. Welcome to Future Proof, Paul. Thank you so much for joining me. So Paul Spiers, can you tell me who you are? I know you're the founder of Amplifier. Could you say more about all that you do as a business?
Sure. Amplifier comes from a marketing background. We've been an agency, creative agency for many years. And what we've developed over the last 2 or 3 years, we've researched and developed a methodology called the Amplified Creative Thinking Process. And what that does is it takes the essence of the creative thinking process, builds a structure and a format around it, and then applies it to business challenges and opportunities. So at its heart, it's giving business leaders, businesses, employees and individuals a chance to think differently about the challenges and the opportunities they face, look at them with different opportunities and look at them in different ways and join dots in different ways to achieve different outcomes and more positive outcomes.
Now, this is not the first time we've met, is it?
No, it's not. No.
So we met when you came to one of Paul's senior management networks and his boardroom forum where business owners and decision makers met, and that's very, very much your world.
Yes.
Are you doing now what you were doing then?
No, then I was working more with leaders but on the marketing side.
Yes.
And now, as I say, I've moved that marketing thinking, that creative thinking process, but working with business leaders on the business side, so looking at commercial and operational challenges they have.
Yeah. But your marketing background and your knowledge, of course, gives you a whole forum of things that you can draw on, expertise and knowledge that you can draw on.
Absolutely. And
go on.
I was going to say, as a marketeer, you work with such a broad base of companies and you get to understand different business models and the way they take their products to market, and all of those things give you an opportunity to blend that experience into new businesses when you work with them on the operational side.
So this program is predominantly looking at helping people better prepare for the future and to actually future-proof themselves, and I do use that with proper focus, if you like, around future-proofing. It's not meant to be arrogant, and to me I link it to certainty, that as human beings we need certainty, and there are so many people who don't have that for different reasons. So a large part of empowering them to gain a sense of certainty is around emotional intelligence. Can I ask you, what does emotional intelligence mean to you?
I think a great example of emotional intelligence is a book I recently read called Legacy. I'm from New Zealand and I have a passion for the All Blacks, and this book is looking at the All Blacks as an organisation and as individuals. So why are they the most successful team in the world? Why have they been the most successful team for over 100 years? And what is the essence of their culture that allows them to continually be that successful? Part of that is the saying that is recognised in the book: better people make better All Blacks.
Better people make better All Blacks. So it doesn't say better sports people, it's better people.
Correct.
And that's where the emotional intelligence element is. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe, and obviously the book represented it as well, and I'm sure you do as well, that the more rounded we are, the more empathetic, the more authentic we are, the better people we are, and then we're able to apply that authenticity and that empathy for business. I think for too long we've had a business person at one level when you walk through the door at 9 o'clock, and a family man or woman when you walk through the door at 5:30 in the afternoon. And I think business today, for all sorts of reasons, requires us to be authentic through all of that period, before we go to work, at work and after work. So we need to have our best self, our most authentic self, our most empathetic self, to be the best business person we can.
And just to clarify, for those that may not know, the All Blacks are the rugby team.
Correct.
New Zealand rugby team.
Correct.
And as you were saying, and you talked about the culture of the All Blacks, because they are not a huge nation, are they?
No.
And yet they have dominated the sporting world. And you talk about authenticity. Can you tell me your definition of authenticity? Because people kind of know what it is, but not everybody knows exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of business speak around authenticity. I think authenticity for me is just being your best self. I think innately we know when we're good people, when we're acting good, or we're acting well, and we're not acting as well as we could do, or with as much empathy or humility as we could. So for me, authenticity is knowing when you go into that meeting that you are you, the real you in that meeting. Now, sometimes when we're in business, we have to put on a slight polish, but I think there's a big difference between a slight polish and Teflon. And I think there's a lot of sales banter out there, but I think, the old adage, people buy from people. To add to that, people buy from real people. And I think when you look at all of the challenges we have out there in business at the moment, it's important that we're able to bring our best, most authentic self to those challenges, because I don't think the challenges of today can be met with the old thinking of yesterday.
But in there's a gap, isn't there? Because there are some people who have become authentically, dare I say it, not their best self. They have created habits that they're not particularly proud of, and approaches they're not particularly proud of, and also that old saying is, well, that's the way I am, you either take me or leave me kind of idea. It in a way is old dead news, because it doesn't serve us. So for some people, and I love that you use the word best, and maybe I would put in a sentence there, sometimes it's refinding your best self, searching that out, and some honest kind of reflections.
Yes.
Can you say more about, we talked about how people can be, let's say, arrogant or what have you in business, and yet they can be great parents and social life and community servers. Why do you think we have created this arrogant approach sometimes to business? And it's not every culture that does it, but certainly we know it, America, UK. Why do we do it?
I think there's a traditional perception that you have to be hard-nosed to succeed, that you have to stand on others to get to the top, and I guess that's been accentuated with certain programs and the media and so on. It's not that the media are to blame, but that's obviously the amplification of that message. But I think for years and years and generations perhaps, business has been predicated on the belief that you have to be hard-nosed and you have to stand on others to get to the top. And I don't believe that has to be the case. And I think moving forward, we have to have a more empathetic approach to business in order to succeed. And I think to touch on your point, where you were discussing around sort of people saying, well, that's always the way I've been. No one is always the way they've always been. I'm not the same person I was at 20, I'm not the same person I was at 30 or 40. We always evolve, and I think that's a default excuse to slip back into, and maybe where we're comfortable, but it's not the way we've always been.
And also I think there's a fear element too, that there is, well, if I don't say that, then I'm opening myself to feeling vulnerable again, because ahead of vulnerability is change and risk. And it perhaps moves them. People have a sense of control and certainty even with bad habits, don't they?
Absolutely.
And I think it opens up this element of change. It's like, whoa, I'm on unsure footing. Paul, thank you, and I hope that you can stay with me for the second half.
Absolutely.
But thank you for reflecting on all that you do, and I think in the second half we're going to say a little bit more, maybe hear a few case studies as to how you actually do what you do. But what I do like is the reference to the All Blacks and a culture of being their authentic better self. And I think if we can all embrace that ourselves and be our authentic better self, and sometimes that might take a bit of searching and finding, but people buy people, and that's even more so as we move forward. Absolutely. We'll see you in just a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Fantastic. EQ, emotional quotient, is better known as emotional intelligence. It is a tangible tool that can sit alongside your services or your product, and it can be taught. Leaders with high EQ have less stress, they're more effective, and they earn more money. There's a great saying, just because we have pains, it does not give us permission to be a pain. I believe that teaching emotional intelligence has a direct impact on your sense of success and your net profits. EQ will empower you and your workforce to drive the change that you want. Change brings transition. EQ can help unpack what's holding you back and speed up that period of transition.